important thing to remember, the very foundation of global perspectives is the 4 perspectives in global perspectives. So, and the 4 perspectives, those of you who have been with me for half a year are
Global, national, local, personal.
Okay, these 4 you better know. Okay, and please spell them correctly. Okay, GLOBAL, not BEL. Okay. So global, national, local, and personal. These are the 4 perspectives. In everything we look at in global perspectives, we want to look at them from all these 4 perspectives. So in global perspective, we learn that everything is interconnected. We learn that they are interconnected across the whole earth. They are also interconnected internationally. Okay. Internationally, well, basically because there are so many different nations. Okay. As of now, how many nations do we have?
195.
Oh, well done. Okay. So,
Wow. 197.
okay. Something like that. I can't remember. Well, but I remember it's 190 something. Okay. So that's the global perspective of that we need to learn. So examples of global perspectives at the global level. Okay, so at the global level, okay, like before, at the global level, we're talking about international and the whole earth. So examples would be United Nations. The United Nations, 联合国, is something that connects across many countries. Okay, and interestingly, it is an organization that came about after World War II because they hoped that they will never have another war like World War II again. That's why they created the United Nations. But do you think they succeeded in preventing wars?
No.
Unfortunately. Okay, but better than nothing. Global warming. Global warming is another example of a global perspective. Okay, things across the whole world has been warming up. And of course we have one country saying, no, my country has become colder. Okay, but do you think that is also linked to global warming?
Yes.
Okay, the reason why a country is cold or hot has to do with a stream of hot air that moves around the whole world. Okay, so when that stream of hot air becomes even hotter, that means some parts might become even colder. Okay, so global warming doesn't mean that your place will become hotter. Okay, it may end up that your place becomes colder.
Yay.
I don't think there's such a
Okay.
Singapore is very worried about global warming.
Why? Because it's
Because we're
already
getting
so
hotter.
hot.
Give a guess.
Because it's already so hot, it shouldn't become hotter.
Okay, interestingly, although Singapore is very hot, we're actually less hot than many countries because we have the foresight. Okay, back in the 1970s, we started planting a huge amount of trees. Okay, that's why if you compare the many cities in the equator, Singapore is actually not as hot. Okay, so that's not really the main reason why we are worried.
Maybe because of the water height and the land heights are very
Yes.
similar.
Global warming is creating a situation where the polar ice caps are melting. When polar ice cap melts, means ice become water, right? What happens to
The
the
water
ocean
level
level?
The water level rises.
And Singapore is an island nation. Okay, if the water level rises,
We're gonna get flooded.
there's going to be no Singapore. Okay.
Japan's Tokyo is not here anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Kanto is gonna die.
Oh no. Okay. So those.
Kanto here.
Because Tokyo is a coastal city, right? Coastal city means a city that's near the sea. Okay.
Wait, then next to the cold.
Yeah.
Next, we look at national perspectives. So we've already finished with global. So national perspectives means we are looking at things from the view of a nation. In this case, a nation we define as a member of the United Nations. Okay. Why do I need to say that specifically? Because interestingly, not all.
Or not all countries.
I will use not all nations are.
in the United Nations.
Example. Okay.
Palestine. India. No.
Oh,
Madagascar.
nonsense. India is an important member of the United Nations. Okay.
How about Madagascar?
Okay, Madagascar is a member of the United
How about
Nations.
Palestine?
Example.
Uganda.
Singapore is a very important member of the United
But it's
Nations.
not one of the
Okay.
Oh, I have one.
About 10 years ago, no, 20 years ago, Somalia had a war, had a civil war. They now split into two countries, Somalia and Somaliland. Somaliland is not recognized by the United Nations. Okay, but they have their own government, they have their own army. Okay, the people there call themselves Somaliland people. So do you think it's really a nation?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing I'm going to say, the Chinese people are going to kill me for it.
Oh no, they're not cameras. Oh, they're not cameras.
Okay, Taiwan is part of China,
Yeah.
but think about it. Does it have its own government?
Yes.
Does it have its own army?
Yes.
Does it have its own banks?
Yes.
It also has their own flag.
They also have their own. Okay, you also have their own flag. So think about it. So Taiwan is basically a nation that is not recognized by the United Nations.
Wait.
Okay. Yes,
Why would they kill you for it?
because
They're
Chinese.
selling.
Okay, it is very important to China that Taiwan is part of China. Okay, Singapore also recognize that. To Singapore, we say that Taiwan is part of China, but it is very sensitive because many Taiwanese people say, but we are also our own nation. Okay, that's why it's sensitive. Okay, so it happens. This is how the world is like. Okay, so we need to think a bit further when we talk about national perspective. Sometimes we don't necessarily talk about a United Nation member. Okay, example. Those of you who play soccer, okay, or rugby, or who watch soccer or rugby, have you ever seen a country called UK playing soccer?
No, England.
England.
No, England. It's England.
Only England?
Wales.
Wales,
Scotland,
Denmark.
No,
Denmark. Not Denmark.
Wales, Scotland, England.
Ireland. There's no UK.
And Ireland.
And what's
In other words, when it comes to soccer, the component parts of the UK is recognized as their own nation. Okay, but then again, does Scotland has their own government?
No.
Does it have its own army?
No.
No. But yet, soccer recognize them as their own nation.
Independent.
Why?
Because they have their own
History.
clubs.
It's a history thing. Okay, long ago, all these countries were independent until England conquered all of them.
Yeah.
England conquered Scotland, but continue to keep the land called Scotland. Okay, what happened is the King of England said, Scotland, I'm now your king, and Scotland said, okay. Same for Wales. Okay, when England conquered Wales, they kept Wales as a country, but the King of England said, Wales, I'm now your king, and the people of Wales say,
Okay.
okay. In Northern Ireland, okay, it was the same. The problem was with the rest of Ireland. The rest of Ireland, the king said, Ireland, I'm now a king. And the rest of Ireland, except for Northern Ireland, said, nah. And they fought. Okay, they fought a long war to keep their independence. Until finally the King of England said, okay. Ireland, you just be your own country. I just keep North Ireland, okay? Just give me North Ireland.
Did conquer Ireland
Okay.
later?
What? No, Ireland has been its own independent country in the United Nations for a long time. North Ireland is the one that's part of the UK. Okay? So in other words, I'm trying to point out to you that the concept of even national, it need not always be a United Nations member. Okay? So, I pointed out just now how nations work. Okay, it's a projection of state power. We talk about the national boundaries and we talk about national laws. So when we talk about national perspective about drugs in Singapore, what's our national perspective on drugs?
We can't have it.
What's our law?
No.
Not just no.
If you get it, you're gonna.
Capital offense. If you are found with more than, I can't remember, I think 10 grams of a certain kind of drug, automatic hang. Do you know how much is 10 grams? Okay,
But
is
can't some drugs be medicines?
Yeah, exactly.
No, no.
certain drugs. Okay, certain drugs. Okay, medicines are regulated by law already. But even then, if you try to illegally import them, you might still get in trouble. Okay. Okay. Like for example, morphine. Okay, morphine is supposedly an illegal drug, but they use it in hospitals.
Why?
They use it in hospitals.
Why?
It's a painkiller. In hospital, they use it as a painkiller. But those people who abuse drugs use it to go, this is wonderful. Okay, and then what happens after that? They get withdrawal symptoms. Okay, they find themselves addicted to their drugs. They must have it, or else they feel terrible, and then they'll do anything to get those drugs, which is bad. Okay. So national perspective, like I mentioned, we talk about national boundaries. We talk about state's power. Okay. Next, let's look at some examples of national perspective. Poverty in the Philippines. Okay, this is something. I lived in the Philippines for a year. I used to start a company. I used to have a company there. So, an example of a national perspective, we look at how poverty is like in the Philippines. Poverty is a very sad thing. When I was in the Philippines, I hired a driver for about 14,000 peso. In those days, 14,000 peso is about 400 Sing dollars. Okay, and I have hundreds of applicants, all of them graduates applying for it. And not only that, let me shock you even further. That 14,400 Sing dollar pay, my finance manager, I'm her boss, but she complained to me that, sir, you're paying too much. Paying too much, 400 Sing dollars a month. Okay. Poverty in Philippines. What else does poverty do? Again, this is a very sad story. Okay. When I was in the Philippines, one of my friends, she's a CFO of a company that has a gold mine in the northern part of Philippines. She'll tell me this very sad story that every time they need to bring in engineers from China. So when these engineers from China came in, the villagers around them, the mummies will bring the girls around your age, around the girls your age, to this man and say, would you like her to be your wife? Your age, okay? The girls here your age. Would you like her to be your wife? And if the man said, yes, I'll take her as my wife, whoa, the family situation will change. All the girls' little brothers can now go to school. Last time they were too poor, they couldn't go to school. The family can now build a new house. Just because, this little girl your age decides to become the wife of this guy from China. And after 3 years, this guy from China has to go back to China. Do you think they'll take back the girl? They didn't. Okay, so it's very sad. Very sad for me because I have a girl myself. Okay, I have a daughter myself, and I'll be very sad if I see that happen to my daughter. But poverty, because the family is poor, they have no choice but to sacrifice the elder sister. Okay, now, healthcare in America. Again, national perspective. America is one of those strange countries where the government do not provide healthcare. There's no government hospitals. All healthcare in America is private. Okay, that means, in other words, what private hospitals, what's the number one thing they want? Money. So in America, if you don't have a job, if you don't get to pay for your insurance, the insurance will cover you when you go to the hospital. If you are sick, you are in big, big trouble, man. Okay? If you are sick and you don't have insurance, you can't afford to go to hospital. And you might just die. Okay? Because you can't pay for it. So here in Singapore, we got government hospital. So as a citizen, I'm Singaporean. If I go to a government hospital, my treatment is very cheap. The rest of you who are foreigners in Singapore, too bad. It's expensive for you. Okay. So but back in your home country, okay, let's say in Japan, there's government hospital in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Where it's cheaper for you as a citizen. But if I'm a foreigner in Japan, that's going to be expensive for me. Okay, same for China. Okay, it's the same for China. China also have government hospitals. I went before to when I was in China. I went to the government hospital. I was feeling sick. They put me on drip. Okay, they put that needle in me and put me on drip. And I think I only spent 12 yuan. 12 yuan is about less than 5 Sing dollars. Okay. Yes, Ananya.
You're not a Chinese citizen, though, right? Because you're a Singaporean citizen.
Again, sorry?
You're a Singapore citizen. Then how can you be two citizens?
You can.
I worked there. I told you I worked there for 12 years.
So when you work there, you
Okay.
become.
And that's a good, so that's a wonderful thing. They don't say, oh, I'm a foreigner, I must pay more. I still pay the same thing the Chinese people pay in China. Okay, but in America, it's crazy. Okay, going to a doctor can cost you hundreds of dollars. Okay, and if you don't have insurance to cover, you're in trouble. You have to pay for that. Okay, a simple surgery can bankrupt you.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Wait, how much
Next.
would it be? How much? Around how much? 100?
100, 120,000. Are you going to pay that? 120,000 US dollars? No, but if you are covered by the insurance, sure, the insurance will probably pay 100,000 of that. You only pay 20,000 only.
Only.
Okay. Next, another national perspective: women's right in Saudi Arabia.
Ronaldo look at that.
Okay. So you understood how it's like right there, right?
No,
In-
I'm never doing that.
Okay. In Saudi Arabia, okay, women cannot go out of the house unless they're accompanied by another man.
Hello, eh.
Even in India.
When they leave,
What? No.
not all parts of India, I think.
Not all parts.
No,
of
Bangalore.
If not Bangalore, but Mumbai, yes. If a girl leaves alone, especially my age, she can be kidnapped and then we have to marry. They'll sell girls. They'll
Yeah, that
force
happens
you
in
to do
India,
stuff.
exactly.
No,
Yeah.
that's for that. But that's law. This one is like you shouldn't go out on your own because it's unsafe.
Because
But
of kidnapping, but
She's a good point.
Huh.
She has a good point.
yeah,
Indeed, in Saudi Arabia, it is the law.
Oh.
Okay, we're talking about it
There's
being
no
the
law
law.
in India
Okay.
that
Next,
culture local.
when a woman in Saudi Arabia goes out, she has to dress like a ninja.
Yeah.
cover everything but her
Everything
eyes.
is in black except for the.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, even if you're not a Saudi Arabian Korean, she work in a school there. Every time she go out, she has to. Okay, so because it's the law there. Okay, what other women's right? It's only a few years ago.
That they could
Yeah.
drive cars.
Bingo. It's only a few years ago that women were allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia. Before then, they were not allowed. Okay, what other women's rights might have a problem? Okay, I want you to do your own research on this. How about inheritance? That means if the father go, do you think the daughters get anything?
Yeah.
Think about it. We don't know. Okay, do your own research. What is women's right in Saudi Arabia on this? Does a girl gets to inherit from the family?
No.
Okay? Do your own research. I'm not going to tell you anything. Okay? I'm not going to tell you anything. So national perspective, we look at this. Nationally, things are different in each country. Next, we look at local perspectives. Local perspectives means we are looking at things from a region. We are looking at what's happening in the city, in a town, in the village, or even your school. Okay, that would be local perspective. Okay? So, examples, the decline of Detroit. Detroit is a city in America. It was a very famous city because Detroit used to produce steel, S-T-E-E-L, and they used to produce cars. Okay, what do you think happened? Okay, first thing, what do you think happened to steel?
Ran out.
They bankrupt.
Gang,
Oh.
okay, S-T-E-E-L. First thing that happened to steel, okay, Japan became a major steel producer. They become better at producing steel than America. Okay, and then after that was China. China also became a major steel producer. They became better than America. So what will happen if other people are better than you?
They don't get to sell it because no one wants to buy it.
Bingo. Nobody wants to buy yours. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, Detroit used to produce cars. Then something happened.
China.
Not China. Japan first.
Uh,
Japan started producing better cars. Then now China also joined in the game. Do you think they will survive?
No.
Do you think it? So
BYD.
it was really bad in Detroit. Now Detroit has neighborhoods, okay, where you see entire blocks of flats with nobody living there. Okay, it's a bit like ghost towns. It
But
was
there's
really
like
bad.
they have no GDP.
Even houses,
The GDP is terrible. I wouldn't say no GDP.
What's the GDP?
Gross
It's
domestic product. How much money?
the
Okay.
states have.
Next, the model village in China. Okay, there's this model village in China where it was really fantastic. About 30 years ago, this guy, the party secretary of this village, had an idea. Okay, he was thinking, hey, we are all poor farmers, we need to be rich. So what did he do? He started telling all the villagers, let's build a factory. Okay, but that factory will not belong to me. That factory will belong to the whole village. So everybody put in money, build the factories, and then the factory starts to make a lot of money. Now, in this case, who does the money belong to?
The whole village, right?
The whole village. Remember, the man said the factory will not belong to me. The factory belongs. So because it belongs to a village, okay, imagine I'm a villager, and I know that the money I work for in the factory is going to come to me. Will I work even harder?
Yes.
Yes. So today, that village, everybody has a house paid for by the factory. Everybody owns a car paid for by the factory. Every year, the factory gives them money to spend. Okay? So this was, you can do a search on this. There's a model village in China, which is one of the richest village in China because the factory was owned by the village instead of a boss. Okay? And then finally, community center basketball is something that is very important in America. Okay? America also have community centers like in Singapore. Have you been to any community centers in Singapore?
Yeah.
I didn't
I want
visit
to-
Japan's
Oh, Japan also have community centers, right? Is that the Koban thing or something? No?
Yes, not a cool one.
Not that one. Oh,
No,
okay.
sorry. No, this is
So-
like
Oh no, the Koban is the policeman.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. So,
If you are new target.
now in America, they always have a problem with children your age. Not children, okay, with youth your age. Okay? When youth your age, you know in America they don't have a lot of homework. In fact, school is very easy. They don't study a lot. So in the afternoon you are very free. So what do you think boys who are very free in the afternoon will do?
Drugs.
They start giving trouble.
What?
Okay, they start hanging out in gangs. Maybe they'll start taking drugs. They start vandalizing things. Okay.
Boys.
Not
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, generally it happens to boys, not so much to girls.
The girls want to go.
Okay.
not me.
So in America, a lot of the cities and local towns solve this problem by making sure that their community center has basketball. So they'll get the youth they'll run basketball leagues. You all know what are leagues, right?
Yes.
That means competition and matches. They'll run basketball leagues to make sure that everybody can join in the game and play the game and enjoy the game. So by doing this, they make sure that the youths are taken off the streets so they won't join gangs, they won't get into trouble with drugs and all this, and it gives them something useful to do. So community center basketball was something very important in America. Next, personal perspective. Okay, personal perspective comes on individuals, and we are talking about personal preferences and beliefs. Okay, what a single person wants, what a single person would believe in. So that would be the personal perspective. Okay, let's have some examples. Vegetable. Okay. Mr. Chan's personal perspective on vegetables is that they are generally disgusting. When I was a kid, okay, I really hated vegetables. My mom forced me to eat it. If I don't eat the vegetables, she'll cane me. I told myself the day when I'm old enough to decide I will not eat those stuff. So my wife, Mrs. Chan, she noticed something very interesting. Of all the vegetables I eat, none of them were the ones that my mom has cooked before. Any type of vegetables that my mom has ever cooked before, I won't eat it. Okay. And it's only later when I grew older that I discovered something. What happened was, I married my wife. Actually, I haven't married her yet. She was still my fiancée. So I took her home. That was 30 years, more than 30 years ago. I took her home to have a meal with my parents. My mom knows that my wife loves vegetables. So she cooked a lot of vegetables for my wife. And my poor wife had a hard time eating them. Even though I know she enjoyed vegetables, I wonder why. So later when I sent her back home, that was when I discovered something. She told me, your mom's vegetable tastes disgusting. Now I understand. Maybe it's not that vegetables are disgusting. It's maybe my mom's vegetables.
That's like your parents' vegetables that taste.
Okay? So
So the cooking was not well.
another personal perspective, pain. Pain is very difficult from one person to another. Okay? I've encountered people, okay, the bone is already sticking out of the body. That means you're broken.
So you can see it?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And that guy was like, oh, this is quite painful. Yeah. It's quite painful. Oh, when are you gonna treat me? Oh, it's quite painful.
What? You don't so
And then I've encountered people, okay, who just got something scratch them and they go, so this tells us that pain is also very much a personal perspective. Now I want to say something. The guy who go, do you seriously think that he doesn't feel painful? No, think about it. I mean, it's a little bit, but to him it is really painful.
Because in his perspective, he thinks it's really best.
Because he has, okay, we say that you can ask doctors. Everybody feels pain differently. Okay, my wife and I is one example. My wife just a little bit, she feels very painful. Whereas there was one day I got into quite a terrible accident and there was blood all over me and I'm still walking around. It's like, where can I find a doctor? So everybody takes pain differently. So maybe, okay, so it's very important when you go to hospital, for example, you notice something very interesting. The nurses are very smart. Okay? Sometimes somebody may be going, and then the nurse will take a look, hey, shut up. And then another person was like, why don't you look at him first? He looks okay. Then the nurse said, you are going immediately to the operating theater. I don't care. So nurses are trained to look beyond just, okay? So they know whether the injury is serious or not. The guy who was screaming away really felt very painful. But was it serious?
No.
The guy who was not screaming away, probably he doesn't feel very painful, but his injury was serious. Okay? So even for matter of pain, there's a personal perspective. Okay? So,
Messi.
okay.
Yeah.
I think I should still have enough time to go through this one more slide, okay? Which means the next class you have to continue taking the video for me. Are you tired already?
A little bit.
A little
Should I
bit,
take
okay.
it?
Just a few more.
No, it's okay.
Mm.
Sure.
It doesn't hurt as bad as I
Now-
thought.
Oh no, you're being recorded.
No.
Generations, years and years of students will hear her voice. Okay, now soccer. So at a global perspective, we are talking about a body that regulates all soccer, right? And that body is FIFA, okay? Do you know what FIFA stands for?
Football
International
football.
It's huge.
They probably knows it.
Rans, what is
The moment I hear the word football international, I know it's fun.
What's the football FIFA?
Okay? Federational International Football Association.
Why
Wow.
is it
Some- If it's have all the LL meaning which language?
Italian.
French?
Yeah, le français, oui.
Yeah, we.
Mm.
Wait, if it has
Jump up,
football in
up.
it, then why is it soccer?
I don't care about
What the heck?
Next, from a national perspective, we are talking about things like the English Premier League.
Oh, yeah, Man City won it in
That's a
2022,
national thing,
and
right?
scored in the final.
And I always, every time I talk about 2010, I feel so embarrassed.
Is it the one that Ronaldo scored?
Wait,
In
why?
Singapore, under one of our Prime Minister called Goh Chok Tong, said, let's have a dream. Let's bring the World Cup to Singapore by 2010. We put in a lot of money. Do you think Singapore has enough people who
They
are,
didn't even qualify.
okay? Do you know how difficult it is to qualify? You need to find 15 players who are good enough to play well. Japan managed to qualify. South Korea managed to qualify. Singapore,
It's tiny. It's
tiny country.
nano.
Difficult to find talent.
Nano.
Okay? So, it says Goal 2010, and obviously, you think Singapore has won the World Cup already?
No.
No, they haven't even joined us.
So we-
World Cup in 2020.
We wasted a lot of money in this Goal 2010. Now, next, local. Local perspective, Axis. You may not familiar with this. Okay, Axis is an association of all the sports clubs of international schools in Singapore. Always is also part of Axis, so some of you may have a chance to play against other international schools. Okay, but unfortunately, international school in Singapore is not part of the local sports divisions. Okay, our local schools have local sports division where they compete. Futsal courts is another futsal courts is another example of a local perspective. Okay, why do we build futsal courts in Singapore instead of soccer courts?
Because we don't have land. We are really tiny, and so we need
Yes.
smaller areas. And COVID, it's like cages, many cages.
Not only that, but futsal courts can also double as basketball courts.
No, they
Okay.
can do other stuff like laser tag and all.
Yes.
In
So
Kuala Lumpur.
unlike a soccer field, which takes up more space. Finally, personal perspective. Okay, some of you will say, personally, I love Messi.
No,
He's
I
the
don't. I-
best
no, no,
soccer
he's
player
really
ever.
Good.
Then-
Ronaldo is better.
Another
But
person
who
will
won the
probably
World
say,
Cup?
oh no, I think Mr. Zhu, our PE
Yes,
teacher,
yeah,
is
Mr.
the
Zhu is
best
better.
football player ever.
Are you kidding?
Okay? I'm
No,
not kidding, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. He's the second best.
Okay? So which is the best?
Ronaldo.
So Taekwondo is the other example when we move into the four perspectives. What are the four perspectives again?
Global, national, local, and personal.
Okay, so when we globally the Taekwondo globally is taken in by two organizations. The first organization the name is not very nice. Okay, they've already dropped the F. Nowadays it's just WT, World Taekwondo. ITF is the International Taekwondo
Wait,
Federation.
what was the F for?
Federation.
Oh.
Okay, so globally these two federations deals with Taekwondo. Okay, and it's very interesting. Taekwondo is one of the very few sports where there are two bodies dealing with it. One of the two bodies, only the World Taekwondo is affiliated with the IOC, International Olympic Committee. Okay, ITF not so, but ITF interestingly is actually the first international federation. That's why they still continue on, even though WT is now the one that IOC recognize. Okay, it's a very complicated history. Those of you interested, you may do some research into it. Okay, but Taekwondo is the national sport of
Japan, China.
Korea.
Korea. Okay,
Japan,
So-
China.
Korea. Wasn't right, but they have.
national sport of Japan is karate and judo. Okay, Taekwondo is Japan. China is
Wushu.
wushu. Yes, Kung Fu. Okay, Kung Fu is the old name. Now it's called Wushu. Okay.
Not Kung Fu?
Now, Kung Fu is the old name for Wushu.
Yeah,
You know better.
But we don't call it Kung Fu now. We call it martial arts is a general category for any kind of like judo, which is Japanese. Okay, so in this case, nationally here in Singapore, the WTA handles WT. I always remember, no more F now. WT handles everything. Okay, but even Singapore still have the ITF. Okay, one of my close friends who work with me in the community, he is a fourth dan in the ITF in Taekwondo. Okay, so nationally, for example, the Taekwondo is the national sport of Korea, and in Singapore, WTF is the one that regulates our sport. And generally, in Singapore, Taekwondo is a sport that a lot of kids go to, but nobody gets any medals. Okay, because Singaporeans, well, we are not good at winning medals. So locally, Taekwondo is a very important sport at many residence community centers. Okay, in Singapore, each small little estate, 小区, each small little estate has this residence committee. Okay, some of you who have lived in Singapore for a long time, you are familiar with it. Okay, and many times in these RCs, residence committee, they actually hold Taekwondo classes. So one of the reasons why Taekwondo is so popular in Singapore is because it is one of the classes that the RC will hold. Okay, now next, personal perspective. My family, okay, my family is a very interesting family. All 6 of us, I have 4 children. Yeah, I have 4 children. All 6 of us learn martial arts. My 4 children and my wife learns Taekwondo. I'm the only one who doesn't do Taekwondo. I did judo. Okay? Why is that so? I learned judo when I was your age. Long time ago. When Taekwondo wasn't a big thing in Singapore. Okay? Then my wife picked up Taekwondo as an adult. And then she wanted her children to all do Taekwondo. So, well.
But you should all do Muay Thai.
Hey, if the wife says Taekwondo, you listen to the wife. Yes, Taekwondo. Okay, if you want a peaceful family, you don't go, no. Okay, you want a peaceful family, you say, yes, wife, good idea. Our children all learn Taekwondo. Okay, boys, next time you know, huh? So from here you can see again the 4 perspective at work. You see it? The 4 perspective at work, even in such a simple thing as Taekwondo. Now, I'm going to talk about something a bit more sensitive because I mean we might have students who feel a lot for it. Like recently, when I was talking to some people about Israel and Hamas, whoa, people got so angry. So some things are very sensitive. This is also sensitive. But even in the Russian-Ukraine war, we can look at how the 4 perspectives work. Okay, I mean, Russia and Ukraine, usually what kind of level is this at? It's Russia versus Ukraine. So
It's Russia. We
So
think it's stronger.
so it's which level? National. Okay? The 2 war itself is actually a national thing, but all 4 perspectives are impacted. Okay, first thing first. Nationally, why is there a war? Okay, so I think those of you who have been with me, I've explained it. What happened was, okay, Ukraine is a free and sovereign nation. When you are free and sovereign nation, you can decide to do what you want, right? I mean, that's what it means, right? Okay, so Ukraine says, hi NATO, I love you. Can I join NATO? Okay, then we look at Russia. Russia is always very worried about people invading it. Every time Russia get invaded, where did they get invaded from?
NATO?
The West. They always get invaded from the West. Okay, in World War II, they get invaded from the West. In World War I, they get invaded from the West. Before World War I, they got invaded by Germany, by the Roman Empire, by everything. Yes,
What is it invaded?
invade, 侵略. Okay, they always get invaded. Okay, so it's like, so if you are Russia and Ukraine say they are going to join NATO, are you going to say, hi Ukraine, you are a free and sovereign nation. We are not happy that you join NATO, but I will let you join. I think seriously they will? No. So Russia cannot have NATO on its doorstep. It's too dangerous for Russia. So Russia decided, I need to invade Ukraine. Of course, there were other reasons. Okay, there's a lot of Russians in Ukraine too. Okay, and then Russia claims that Ukrainian people are bullying the Russians there.
Why?
Okay, we really don't know. I mean, I didn't do enough research into that, but they claim that this was what's happening. So they want to protect the Russians who are in Ukraine. It's like, for example, just an example. Let's say there's a group of Indians in Thailand. Example, just an example. There's a city that is full of Indians in Thailand, and then one day the Thai government starts killing the Indians inside.
No.
Example.
No, chill.
Okay.
Calm down. Calm.
Now, so maybe when that happens, the Indian government might be unhappy and say, I am going to invade Russia to protect my Indian people in there. Not Russia, sorry. I'm going to invade Thailand to protect the Indians in that Thai city because the Thailand government is killing the Indians there. Okay, so it's like this. That's what Russia is trying to say. You know, Ukrainians, you're bullying my Russians on Ukraine. I'm also going to protect my Russian people. Okay, so this was the reasons they give. Whether we feel that this is a good reason or not is another different things to deal with. Singapore doesn't feel that it's a good reason. That's why in the United Nations Assembly, Singapore was one of the countries that sanctioned Russia. Because we feel that, hey, Russia, nobody should be invading another country for whatever reason. Okay? So Singapore sanctioned Russia because of this. Sanction means you do not allow your company to do business there. You do not allow their imports to come into your country. You stop buying their stuff. You do not allow their stuff to be sold.
So basically shipping.
Again? Yeah.
So basically like shipping stuff.
Some, in a way, maybe, yeah.
So that means right now, like, Singapore doesn't get any imports from Russia, and we do not even now.
Yes. Russia is still under sanction by Singapore, but I mean it doesn't affect us a lot because we don't do
We
a lot
don't.
of business.
Not a lot of stuff comes from
Yeah.
Russia.
Okay.
Mostly China.
But the thing is, Singapore felt that we have to do that. So let's look at other levels. Inflation globally. Although it's a war between Russia and Ukraine, inflation has gone crazy because of the war. Okay, why? A lot of you do not know, especially from Russia and Ukraine. Okay, is the top producer
Yeah.
and exporter of wheat, not rice, wheat. Okay, both Russia and Ukraine. So can you imagine the two countries that are fighting with each other? Do you think they are still in a mood to be selling their wheat? No. All the food that they have is going to go towards themselves. And anything that they sell will be much more expensive. So it has caused inflation globally because of the war. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, you can go home and check with mommy and daddy. There's another round of price increase again. This time the inflation is caused by
The
another
Hamas
war.
and
Okay? Because of the war, ships cannot pass through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea without being attacked by Yemen. Yemen is a country, okay, that supported Hamas. Okay, so they're attacking ships there, and because of that, ships now have to go one big round around Africa, and that means
Takes
more money.
takes more time.
More money.
You need more gas. You need to pay more money to your sailors. And do you think they are going to say, "Oh, I'm the ship company. I'm so nice. I'm going to absorb all this money"? No, I'm going to tell those people who put things on my ship, I'm going to charge you more. And if I'm the one putting things on the ship and I'm going to be charged more, do you think I'm going to tell all of you who are buying my things, "Oh, I'm so wonderful. I'll eat all the cost myself"? Really? No, they'll pass the cost all to you who are buying the things. So that's why we have another round of inflation because of another war. Okay, locally the war is terrible because of all the property destruction. Okay, a lot of buildings, a lot of cars, a lot of people died. a war locally. Okay, so cities, okay, Donbass for example is a city. It's now basically a rubble.
Property destruction.
Again,
Property destruction.
yes, property destruction. So war locally is a lot of property destruction. And then finally, personally, this one is personal because you have sons, you have fathers who will be killed because of the war. Okay? Yes.
Why sons and fathers only?
Because usually it's the men that fight. Okay? I won't say women won't, but usually in a war it's the men. We have a saying. We have a saying. If a country, once a country has to start even asking their women to go to war, that country is in big trouble.
Oh my god.
Because who has already died off?
Was.
It means that the man has already started to die off. Okay, so once a country ever have to start asking their women to also go to war, okay, now, in most countries around the world, if men have, those who have to join the army are men, like Singapore. In Singapore, only men needs to compulsorily join the army. I know of 2 countries in the world where both men and women have to join the army. Okay, and these are 2 countries that are always having huge threat. Can you guess one of them?
United States.
United States has no conscription.
Wait, what's
In
it
the
name?
United States, all the soldiers are volunteer soldiers. That means they are career soldiers. Like me. You all know that I was a career soldier.
Yeah.
So I always tell people that, I always joke with people that I'm a Singaporean, but I didn't do my service. Because I was a career soldier. I get paid to be a soldier. Unlike the rest of the boys who, well,
It was his work.
$100. I get paid $2,000. Woohoo! Okay, because I'm a career soldier.
He worked and got paid.
Okay, yes, Edgar?
North Korea's one.
Again?
North Korea.
Wrong.
Soldiers
North
are
Korea
someone who
also
fights
only
for
men.
their country.
Okay,
In
wrong.
war-
South Korea also only men.
In war, they fight for the country to
Yeah, and
keep the
water.
country safe.
It's Israel and Palestine.
Okay,
So,
in Israel,
He was that.
both men and women has to join the army at 18 years old. Okay, for 2 years. It's their military service. Israel. Okay. The other country, I think they stopped doing that. Yes. Go. The other country I think that did it was Finland. Okay, why Finland? Guess who's the neighbor of Finland?
Russia.
Okay, it's like the Soviet Union is just next door. I think the women also better learn to shoot. Okay, so this is personal because sons and fathers get killed. Okay, and if you look at all those who are at war, it is always a very terrible thing. For me, I know that if Singapore ever goes to war, I have 3 sons. They will be fighting for Singapore. There's a very good chance. There's always a good chance they might get killed. Okay, and even for me, I'm already in the reserve. But if the fight really get to be so bad, the government will even call up the reserves. Okay, a reserve soldier means by right I'm too old to fight.
Wait, but is it option 2 that you can choose if you want to fight or not, or you have to?
I cannot choose.
Oh.
The government has to say, okay, I'm activating reserves. That means, if I'm an active soldier, that means I'm an 18-year-old boy. Okay, I have no choice. I have to fight. Okay? If I have finished my military service, okay, then then I have a choice, right? Whether I want to be a career soldier or not. Yeah? And then after a certain age, like my age, when the government says that I'm too old to fight, nah, not true. You give me a M16, I can still shoot. Okay? But the government thinks I'm too old to fight. So I will only be activated if Singapore is really, really desperate. Okay, last one.
What age is that you consider like ready to fight?
In Singapore, 18. In Singapore, all men at 18 years old has to go to the army.
Even foreigners?
No, that's foreigners
If you're
from Singapore
PR.
that not counted. PRs, yes.
Yeah.
PRs, yes.
But you still remember how to fight, right?
Okay, yes, I still remember how to fight. Okay, come, let's move on to the next one.
I can kill you.
So,